Fletch, thanks so much. Coach, always great to be in here after a win talking about great defensive football. And one of the things that stuck out to me, Coach, I thought you guys did a great job mashing concepts, and that puts you in advantageous spots to get them off the field. And so let's just take a look at this one real quick. This is a nice dagger concept. It's in a 2-minute situation. And one of the things I love is you got 4 safeties on the field. You got nice, good physical football players on the field and guys that can cover. And the thing I really like is when you're playing Tampa 2 coverage, which you are here, is it allows you to get these guys deep, but having a really athletic Tampa player, which again, to me when I see this, it kills the concept before they even get going.
Well, very much so, because what it does, it gives us a middle reader that understands the concept, but also has the athletic ability to really hinder a lot of things that the quarterback wants to do.
Right.
So in this particular instance, again, as you said, they're trying to get the ball downfield, they're trying to get into field goal position just before the end of the half, and by doing what we've done, okay, we've taken away the opportunity for somebody to come in and make a big play. But secondly, the other thing it does too is because we can match the coverage, even though we're in zone, we take away the quarterback's check down options, and now he's forced to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool to see coverage when it comes together like this. Like there's nobody, no opportunity to go with the ball, and guys just being where they're supposed to be. And that's got to make you excited as a coach, I think.
Oh, very much so, because it just kind of shows you that, what's taken a little bit of time for us to get an understanding and a feel for our concepts, our guys are now putting it into practice on the field.
Absolutely. And the other thing about this, Coach, is, again, the coverage was great, but we got to talk about the rush. You got 3 awesome football players in here, but just the relationship between these guys right now just seems to be getting better and better each week.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is everybody understands when they're rushing with Montez,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity for something exciting to happen. Right here, we got Montez and Jonathan working together. They're running basically what we call an ET stunt. And again, what's going to happen is Jonathan's going to set him up.
Yeah.
He's going to come in. He's going to pick off of the center and off of the guard, and then Jonathan's going to wrap. Now, the thing you would like to make sure we have a feel for those that we're in sync over here. They're turning the protection this direction. They're going to chip on their way out to try and slow things down. So really what you would really want to happen in this situation is for us to be patient, to hold contain on the outside, because we know, again, they're matched up one-on-one on this side.
Right.
Somebody's going to win.
Yeah, and they win definitively. I mean, the physicality of this rush is awesome, the speed of that rush, and you're right, just if you keep contained there, I mean, it's an incomplete pass, but you're looking for sacks, right?
Oh, yeah, that'd have been a great opportunity for him to get a sack, keep the clock going, and back them up even more.
Right. The other thing that did it was awesome was the play-action pass game. I thought you did a really nice job matching that. And I look at this play and I say, oh, our guy Jamin Davis did an excellent job falling underneath this kind of drift concept here. I actually think the ball could be out early. Then you look at the film a little closer, you say, what's this guy Duran doing here in terms of helping out his coverage players?
Well, the big thing is because he's gotten such good push, the quarterback can't step into it right now, because as he starts to step into it, he's got the guard in his face, so he's got to hold it for a second, try to move out of the way, and then he tries to hit the second window, which is really dangerous because our safety's now driving down on the dig.
Yeah, and you can see it a little better from here, right? Here's Payne, right? How he's pressuring through the guard, and the quarterback doesn't like that. He doesn't like that because to me this receiver's open, but Payne really eliminates that throwing window just through his body presence, which allows Jamin to play the run, then get back underneath him.
Right, and then what happens too is because the quarterback has held the ball, the rest of the rush gets there because he's still trying to get to the window, but it's just the second window, which is really dangerous. And again, we had a safety coming down
right there.
and here comes Defo, has a chance to make a play.
And Defoe's been doing a great job playing those passes all year long, so that's awesome to see, and great to see that physical rush. It doesn't matter. Third down, first down, they're always getting after the quarterback. And this is one I thought was kind of fun just because it's interesting, is they're going to run a little push crash concept here. So he's going to act like he's going to block here, and then they're going to run a takeoff here, Coach. And so when I see that, I think, oh, this corner should probably crack replace. He should fit the run here if the receiver's blocking the safety. But I love how patient Christian is here.
Yes.
And is playing his assignment and forcing the receiver to the safety instead of having to force him to cover a lot of grass.
Very much so, and this is a max protection off of play action. And again, they're only got 2 guys initially into the route. They'll have somebody sneak out later as a check down, but for the most part, because again, as you said, Christian is disciplined, he's patient, and he's reading his keys, he gets an opportunity to see that this is pass. So he's going to go ahead and dig out, get his depth, and now help cover, and again, discourage the ball from being thrown.
Right, absolutely. And it's cool to see a young guy playing good sound football.
It is, and again, that goes to coaching, and credit our defensive staff for that.
All right, we're here in Coach's office. Logan and Coach picked out a few plays that we're going to go through talking about the Giants. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited, Fletch, because not only do you get to talk to Coach, but get to talk to a Washington legend, defensive legend, and it's good that the first pick is on the defensive side of the ball here, the first clip, excuse me. Wink Martindale, Coach, likes to bring a ton of pressure, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of rhyme or reason. He'll bring it first down, he'll bring it second down, he'll bring it third down. This is a third and long situation. And obviously the last time you guys saw a team that played and brought a lot of pressure was the Detroit Lions, and you guys struggled. Is there something you can watch that you can take advantage of and say, we can exploit this?
Oh, very much so. I think a couple things that happened in this game that, when you pay attention to it, and that is Detroit let them get into situations like this in terms of, they huddled up, they got to the line.
I see. Mm-hmm.
And then now all of a sudden these guys are able to sit there and adjust, move people around. Now you've got to ID and identify what they're going to do. One of the answers that Detroit had, obviously, was they wanted to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly. Well, that's kind of what they want you to do too, so they can just drive up, make the tackle, get off.
Yeah.
But if you have a plan and an understanding of how you can protect
right,
and get the ball, then you can make some things happen. Here in this instance, what they're trying to do is just throw what we call a bubble screen, or an alley screen, whatever you want to call it. He's going to get the ball out to who he thinks is a guy has a chance or an opportunity to get out and make something happen. So what they've done is they send 2 blockers outside, okay?
Yep.
And what they're going to and because there's 2 defenders.
Yep.
So that's all they're really trying to do.
And so one thing that sticks out to me, I'm sorry, Lennon, is the quarterback checks that at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Is that something that you guys would engage with, or does that slow you down too much? You want to be playing fast?
No, it's something that we'll get to the line of scrimmage. If we see something, this play, this becomes a very viable play. Okay, and so there's always that possibility. So what's going to happen on this, obviously, is they've got it figured out right now that they're going to bring the corner, the slot, excuse me.
Right.
Okay, the nickel in the slot. And so because of that, what they're going to do is they're going to bypass him, and they now have a matchup of 2 blockers, 1 receiver, and guess what? They've actually got them outmatched.
And Coach, I want you to touch on the key of this tunnel screen. Would you say is those 2 guys getting the initial blocks?
Yes.
Getting those initial blocks downfield to get the screen game started.
Exactly, because if you don't get those 2 blocks made, obviously, then they're going to make the tackle. But once you get in the way and create an opportunity for this guy to go, now anything can happen, and that's exactly what happens on this play. Guy gets up, they miss a tackle, and next thing you know, he's racing for the first down.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to me because, like I was talking to Fletch about this, usually if you're playing zero and you're pressuring a lot, you're a really good tackling team. I don't feel like the Giants are an exceptionally good tackling football team.
Well, I know, they've obviously had some injuries, at their cornerback position. They got some guys that, again, they've got to get their hands on people and make good tackles, because if not, this is what happens. You take a chance by only having a couple guys out there on the perimeter. They're outnumbered by a guy, and all of a sudden something happens and he's off to the races.
Yeah, so obviously that's the biggest component of handling Detroit's defense is dealing with the pressure, because they don't have any personnel outside the defensive tackles that scare you. To me, it's the offense that's kind of interesting, right? They're struggling on the offensive line, and they kind of each week have a plan for the defense, right? Against the Dallas Cowboys, it was this keeper or boot action.
Yep.
How do you deal with him, not only as a guy in the keeper boot, but also RPO, also zone read, because he's a big part of what they do in terms of finding little edges on 3rd down.
Very much so. And again, they're going to come to the line of scrimmage. They're going to look at these guys, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? We got to move the quarterback. We can't let him sit back there and be a sitting duck. I think in this game, it's something like their first 9 or 10 plays were all passes. And I think 4 of them were movements.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
getting the quarterback out of the pocket, getting him out of harm's way, giving an opportunity for him to buy some time to find receivers downfield. And that's really what they've done.
Yeah.
Is they're trying to counter what these guys do best, and that's the Cowboys. They're very good pass rushers.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm always fascinated by, because Kyle ran a lot of this, is why is this so challenging to deal with? It's different than a play-action pass. It's different than, a naked boot, whatever it is. Why is this? How does this stress the defense, I guess is my point.
Well, first of all, because they're really good at running the zone scheme, okay? So anytime you're good at running the zone scheme, it creates a lot of problems, because if you're really good at faking the zones and you're making contact, your offensive linemen are not just going left or sideways.
Yeah, right.
They're gaining ground a little bit on the blockers.
Yes.
Right.
As blockers, that freezes everybody. So what you're seeing right now is, again, these guys are taking lateral steps to the left, but they're engaging. They're just not turning elephants on parade. So that stresses the linebackers, that stresses the safety in the box. And the next thing you know, now it gives the quarterback an edge, gets outside the edge. But the thing that's really interesting is if you look at the options he has, and Daniel Jones has got enough of an arm and athleticism that he can really throw the ball across his body. And he will throw the ball across his body. One of the things you always tell everybody, though, is a lot of times bad things happen when you throw across your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, on this play right here, the Cowboys do a pretty decent job taking away his, let's call it, first three options. The poise that Daniel Jones shows right here, even under pressure, to wait and get the tight end delay.
Yes, we call him the hider. He's basically hiding out. He's a blocker, first, and then the last second he's the check down guy. So we tell everybody, hey, if everything's moved, you got to look for the hider. And so really, once you see that, that's where he's going to go to. Now, what happens on this too as well, and it's one of the things that you try to tell all defenders: don't jump.
Right.
Don't jump. Don't jump. Don't jump. Because again, if he works to run through Daniel, he's got a sack.
Right. Yeah, that's weird because it kind of goes against your natural instinct, right? You think get up, bat the ball, but and then Fletch, playing linebacker, like, why is this tough for you to read? Like what?
Well, like Coach was saying, because they do such a great job running the football, and the offensive lineman, that looks like run to a lot of the linebackers. So you naturally have to start to come downhill, and that's going to allow those bootlegs or those crossing routes to get behind you. Now you have to be great at, from a defensive standpoint, being able to retreat and rally and get back underneath those throws. But because they are really good at running the football, you have to respect Saquon Barkley in the run game. You're going to get some kind of downhill steps by the linebackers in most cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, as Fletch says, if you look at these guys, they're not elephants on parade. They haven't turned completely sideways. They've tried to keep their shoulders as square as possible. But then the other key is they engage.
Yeah.
Okay, they engage like it's outside zone. Now, a couple things that you should be aware of as a defender is when you start seeing wide receivers coming back as if they're going to cut block, okay, that should be one of the first things to tell you. He's not here to block.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
He really isn't.
Right. That was one thing Kyle Shanahan always used to say is if you could find a receiver who could sift block, you're in a good spot. Defense
absolutely.
is key on that, right?
Yes, they do.
And they don't have anybody quite like that. So this is the other thing. Everyone talks about Daniel Jones as a runner, right? But I think he's got some nice ability to throw the football. He's not always the most accurate guy in the world, but he's got some talent. He's got some grit to him. Like, how do you handle this? How do you handle what he brings as a passer?
Well, one of the things that's the big component of this offense is that anytime you see single high with press, you're supposed to throw it long.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You're supposed to throw it deep. And he will. He throws it about 4 times a game. He throws something vertical.
Yeah.
And it was early in the game. This is the second time they tried to do it. The first time they tried to do it, it was in the first quarter. The ball got batted away.
Right.
The second time they did it, catch down to the 1 yard line. I mean, again, this is one of those things that you got to understand. He's going to take his shots, and that's part of Coach Dable's repertoire is that you take vertical shots because eventually it's going to soften the defense.
Right. And is that matchup concerning to you at all with, the health of Benjamin St-Juste in question, or you feel like you got a good plan?
No, I think we've got a good plan for it. I like what Jack just talked about. And, this is the thing that you have to understand. Again, there's no play action.
Yes.
So the pass rush should be better. Okay?
Right.
The pass rush really should be better on this. Without the play action, they should be getting pressure on this. And secondly, as a defender, as you go to get into transition, you should engage. In other words, he should be cutting into him, widening him as close to the sideline as possible. The corner.
DB, corner, okay. And then kind of just push him towards the sideline.
Exactly, and then he should jump into him as he's trying to make the play.
Coach, on this down and distance, this is 2nd and 4.
Yep.
The offensive coordinator, that's a tough call to make as a defensive coordinator because the offense has really, they can do anything. They can run it, they can throw it deep, pass the ball, whatever the case may be. From a schematic standpoint or a call standpoint as a defense, would you prefer to show some type of 2-shell, 2-deep look?
Yes.
Even if you want to morph into a man-to-man, maybe get a quarterback something. Don't give them the answers to the test right away.
Right, because as far as that's concerned, and that's a great point, because right now they're already showing him. We got single high, we got an 8-man box. He has no help if you throw it outside wide.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
So really what you would like to see, and again, show your quarters, show your half. Okay? And then as the ball gets snapped, now we may re-rotate to safety down.
Right, okay.
So again, right here, like you said, he's already given the answer to the test, and that's, hey, we're going to attack vertical.
And also, Fletch, to your point, like they do a lot at the line of scrimmage in terms of letting Daniel Jones get him in the right play, and that would confound some of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
No doubt. The other thing about Daniel Jones, Coach, last thing is 99 here has pretty much a free run because this offensive line has been struggling. They've had some injuries or whatever. But he's got some pretty good courage here, too, in terms of making these types of plays.
Yeah, he does. And again, the thing that you applaud him is that he does stand tall. He
Yeah.
really does. And he does a nice job. He takes the snap, trying to hold the safety. What's he do? He looks to the wide side of the field.
Yep.
So now the safety doesn't get a clean look. He doesn't get a clean break. And so he's not going to be able to get there in time to help out.